Welcome to the Intuitive Hour with psychic medium, author, and intuitive life coach, Michelle Beltran. The Intuitive Hour will empower you to learn how to magnify your intuitive voice. Listen in and expand your understanding of what it means to be psychic and how to awaken, amplify, and trust your inner voice.
Welcome everyone to the Intuitive Hour. I'm your host, Michelle Beltran. We're talking today about psychic insights. I want to share with you how to spot real intuition versus thought. It can be a little bit tricky. Well, let's just dive right in. Getting started here. Is it your gut or just your brain? That question is often asked, so let's talk about how to tell the difference. So if you've been in a moment of random thought where something popped into your head and it just felt different, not like your usual what's for dinner kind of question, or did I forget to reply to that email, mind chatter, I'm talking about a sudden crystal clear knowing. An image that flashes in your mind or a gut feeling so strong it stops you in your tracks. That's how you tell the difference. If you're nodding along, then you've already had a little taste of what it's like to receive an intuitive message. But one of the trickiest parts of this whole journey is figuring out what's a genuine psychic hit, we say, and what's just our own brain being, well, a brain, right? So it used to drive me a little bit crazy. I'd get a feeling about something and then immediately my mind would just jump in with 1,000 doubts. Perhaps you understand that. I might ask myself, is this real? Second guessing or questioning things. Am I making this up? Is this just fear talking? So it felt like a tug of war in my own head early on, and I imagine you might be feeling this too at times. So learning to tell the voices apart has been a game changer. Let's talk about that now. I really want to share it with you. And I think you're going to find this incredibly enlightening today as we continue on about deciphering the difference between your brain and something truly intuitive. Let's talk a little bit about the brain and the logical planner side of us and the creative dreamer, if you will. I think that really matters here. So think of your brain as having two different personalities. First, there's your left brain. This is your inner project manager, if you will. It's logical, analytical, and it loves a good to-do list. It organizes, plans, and processes everything in a nice, neat, orderly line. When you're worrying about the future, replaying a conversation, or trying to figure out something step by step, so to speak, well, that's your left brain running the show. And we need that left brain, by the way. It's super useful. But it's also the source of most of that, what we call in the psychic world and the remote viewing world, mental noise. And we all deal with that. Okay, so then there's your right brain. This is your inner artist, dreamer, and your mystic. It doesn't think in straight lines. It feels. It imagines. And it just knows. This is where your intuition lives. So when you receive a psychic insight, it often feels like you're an observer. You're watching a piece of information float into your awareness without any effort. You didn't think it up, it just arrived. The key to strengthening your intuition is learning to gently quiet the project manager so you can hear the dreamer's whispers. So, what does a psychic message actually feel like? Good question. Let's go there next. Psychic insights have a totally different flavor than your regular thoughts. Your everyday thoughts are often loud, pushy, and they're tangled up with emotions like fear, worry, or excitement. Intuitive messages you can think of as much more chill. All right, so let's get a little bit more specific on this. And let's talk about the vibe to look for, to know when the psychic messages are coming in and how they're actually feeling. Okay, first of all, it's neutral. True psychic hits don't usually come with a big emotional charge. A thought like, I'm going to fail this presentation, is dripping with fear. That's ego. An intuitive message might be calm, simple, a knowing of, okay, I want to review that second slide again. So it's just information, no drama attached. A knowing of what to do next, no worries or fears. Second, it feels certain. Even if it doesn't make logical sense, the insight comes with a quiet, solid feeling of peace and certainty. There's no second guessing, just a deep inner knowing. Third, it's random. Often these messages pop in out of nowhere. You could be washing dishes and suddenly get a clear image of a friend you haven't spoken to in years, only for them to call you an hour later. No coincidence there. Absolute pure synchronicity and psychic insight. It's not connected to what you were just thinking about either. It just drops randomly out of nowhere. It repeats. I'll remind you of the rule of 3 I've taught to all of you. There's an episode on this here at the Intuitive Hour. You might revisit that. Powerful episode on the rule of 3. But psychic insight repeats. Do you ever notice the same symbol, word, or number showing up over and over again? That's your intuition turning up the volume. If you see an owl on TV, then hear someone mention an owl, and then see a picture of one online, all in the same day, oh dear, pay attention, everyone. That is a message. The universe is trying to get this message through, and it does so through repeats, the rule of 3. All right, and last, a psychic download is surprising. Psychic thoughts often feel fresh or out of the blue. They aren't just recycled versions of your existing worries or knowledge. If an idea feels totally original and a little bit surprising, that's a really good sign it's coming from your higher source. If a message feels tangled, emotional, or just like a rehash of your usual anxieties, it's probably just your left brain doing its thing. And that's okay. It's what our left brain does. You now know that. The first step is just noticing the difference. All right, how to practice hearing your intuition. Let's talk about that. I know that you're wanting to tune in and you're ready to try. That's why you're here. So let's discuss this. Here's some super simple exercises you can do anytime. Here's one of my most favorite. First, find a quiet spot. Grab a pen and paper. Next, think of a question, one question you'd love some guidance on. Now keep it simple. For example, what's one thing I can do for my creative spirit this week? Next, write down all your brain answers. What are your fears? What do you think you should do? Get all that mental chatter out and onto the pages. Let's clear that out. Now, close your eyes. Take 3 deep, slow breaths. Imagine all that mental noise fading away. That left brain chatter be gone. Ask yourself out loud, or in your mind, preferably out loud, the question. Now, just sit. Don't search for an answer. Just be an open receiver, an observer. Notice any images, words, feelings, sudden ideas that float in. It might come through any one of your senses: vision, hearing, taste, smell. Write down whatever comes, no matter how small, no matter how strange. Don't judge it or try to analyze it. Just receive it, observe it, receive it, write it down. Last, thank your intuition and put the paper away. Come back to it later or the next day with fresh eyes. Just let it be. Sometimes the meaning is real clear right away, and other times it unfolds over a few days. I once asked for guidance on a project, and I got a very clear image of a sunflower. It made 0 sense to me at the time, but a few days later, a friend called with an opportunity that she described as needing someone to help it turn toward the sun. Chills, everyone. So sometimes it happens like that. Trusting this process. It takes practice. It's about letting go of the need, though, to have everything make sense right now. This is bigger than you or I. The universe at the helm will let the knowing come to us. We just want to receive. Be patient. Continue to practice. Be compassionate with yourself. The more you relax and allow, the clearer your inner guidance will become. No exception. Have you ever had an experience like this? A download, a gut feeling that turned out to be spot on, or a random thought that actually did come true? Some of you might be experiencing this in your dreams. Excellent. That was the start. That was the opening. Stay with it. Your story could be the very thing that helps someone else learn to trust their own inner magic. Share that. Teach others. Work on it more. All right, everyone, we will call that an episode. I look forward to connecting with you all next week.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Intuitive Hour, please consider following, rating, and reviewing the podcast at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You're welcome to access Michelle's free controlled remote viewing exercise that will empower you to uncover answers to your burning questions about lost objects, events, or people in the past, present, or future. Visit michellebeltran.com to access this free offering and rediscover what was once lost.